What if I told you multiple people from Robin's past are allegedly reaching out with shocking stories, but the tea is being held back and nobody is saying why? Today, we are diving into the mystery, the silence, and the questions that have the entire Sister Wives community buzzing. Because when insiders hint at deep secrets but refuse to spill them, you know something bigger is brewing. So stay with me until the end, because every detail matters. And if you love real talk with zero filters, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now. Join the family and let's get into it. The whispers started quietly, almost too quietly to notice, but in the world of reality television, silence never stays silent for long, because the moment someone hints its secrets, the audience leans in. And this time, the secret circles around Robin and her past, and what makes it more explosive is not even what was said, but what was not said. Because during a recent conversation, Melanie and Corey revealed that several people, including individuals who grew up with Robin and members connected to her ex-husband Preston, allegedly reached out claiming they had stories, experiences, and serious allegations tied to Robin's earlier years. And immediately the fan community felt the temperature rise, because whenever multiple unrelated sources begin to echo similar sentiments, curiosity turns into suspense, and suspense turns into obsession. Yet here is the twist: they refused to share the details. They made it clear they would not repeat the claims, they would not summarize the accusations, they wouldn't even vaguely outline the nature of the revelations. And that refusal has become the center of the storm, because audiences are asking, if you truly have something significant, why mention it at all? Why open the door just enough for viewers to see shadows, but not enough to understand what stands inside? And that question alone has fueled countless discussions, theories, and debates across social platforms, because some believe this was a strategic move, a way to ignite engagement without risking consequences, while others insisted reflects integrity, a decision to avoid amplifying unverified information that could harm real lives and real families. And in the middle of that debate stands the undeniable reality that suspense sells, because the moment creators hint at confidential letters, childhood accounts, or family insiders willing to speak, audiences lock in. They watch longer, they comment more, they subscribe, hoping to be present when the truth eventually surfaces. And in this case, one specific detail added fuel to the fire: the mention of a childhood friend who allegedly wrote a lengthy letter outlining personal experiences with Robin, experiences that were described as troubling and impactful. Yet again, no specifics were offered, and that silence spoke louder than any accusation could, because when viewers hear the phrase "4-page letter," their minds begin filling in blanks, constructing possibilities, imagining scenarios, and that psychological effect is powerful, because uncertainty invites imagination, and imagination often intensifies perception far beyond confirmed facts. And that is where this situation becomes layered, because on one side are those who argue that protecting sources is not only ethical but necessary, especially if the individuals reaching out are still connected through complicated family dynamics involving children, extended relatives, and shared communities, while on the other side are viewers who feel that teasing revelations without context creates a vacuum where rumors can thrive unchecked, and that vacuum can become more damaging than transparency itself. And so the conversation has shifted beyond Robin and into the broader ethics of commentary in the reality television space, because creators operate within a system that rewards engagement but also demands responsibility. And when money, visibility, and audience growth intersect with sensitive personal histories, every word carries weight, and legal implications cannot be ignored, even when disclaimers like "allegedly" are used, because repeating unverified claims, even with caution, can still create disputes and reputational harm. And perhaps that is part of the hesitation, because while some commentators boldly speculate, others choose to tread carefully, particularly if they have connections to individuals still within the orbit of the show. And that brings another layer of intrigue, because fans have noticed that the same limited circle of creators frequently interview people associated with Sister Wives, and that pattern has only sparked speculation about access, influence, and unspoken boundaries. And while no direct evidence confirms coordination, perception alone can shape narrative. And perception in online communities moves quickly, sometimes faster than facts. And so when Melanie and Corey stated they would welcome Preston or others to speak directly, but would not speak for them, it positioned them as gatekeepers rather than storytellers, offering a platform but declining to narrate the story themselves. And that stance can be interpreted in multiple ways, as respectful, as cautious, as strategic, or even as suspense-driven marketing, because anticipation is one of the strongest forces in digital media, and the longer a mystery lingers, the more invested viewers become, returning repeatedly, hoping for the reveal. And what makes this especially compelling is that the Sister Wives audience has followed these relationships for years. They have watched marriages unravel, alliances shift, loyalties fracture, and narratives evolve. And with that history comes a belief that there are layers still undiscovered, chapters never televised, conversations never aired. And so when someone suggests that deeper truths exist, it resonates with long-standing suspicions and reactivates old debates about accountability, image management, and selective storytelling. And yet, amid all of this, it is crucial to remember that behind every headline are real individuals, including children, who did not choose public scrutiny. And that reality complicates the appetite for exposure, because revealing painful histories may satisfy curiosity, but it can also reopen wounds and escalate conflict. And perhaps that is why the silence persists, because once certain details are spoken publicly, they cannot be retrieved. They become permanent, searchable, and amplified beyond control. And so the creators involved may be weighing not only legal risk, but emotional consequence, because online discourse rarely stays measured. It intensifies, it polarizes, it magnifies. And in that environment, nuance often disappears, replaced by extremes. And that is what makes this moment feel like a turning point, not because information was revealed, but because information was withheld, and the withholding itself became the event, sparking deeper questions about transparency, loyalty, fear, and strategy. And as viewers continue dissecting every statement, analyzing tone, choice of words, and timing, the suspense remains intact, hovering over the community like a question mark that refuses to fade. And perhaps that is precisely why engagement has surged, because uncertainty keeps audiences attentive, and attentive audiences drive conversation, and conversation sustains relevance. And whether this unfolds into direct interviews, documented accounts, or fades into unresolved speculation, the impact of the tease has already reshaped discourse, reminding everyone that in the realm of reality television commentary, sometimes the most dramatic development is not a shocking confession, but the promise of one. And until someone steps forward publicly with verifiable claims, the story exists in limbo, suspended between curiosity and caution, drawing viewers back again and again, waiting for clarity that may or may not arrive. As the speculation continues to build, the conversation has evolved beyond a simple question of whether there is tea to spill and has transformed into a larger debate about motive, credibility, loyalty, and the mechanics of online storytelling. Because once an audience senses that information is being withheld intentionally, every pause, every carefully chosen phrase, every subtle hint becomes magnified and dissected. And in this situation, viewers are not only asking what the alleged revelations about Robin might be, but why the decision was made to announce their existence without providing substance. And that single choice has divided the community into clear camps, with one side defending the restraint as responsible, ethical, and protective, while the other side views it as calculated engagement, designed to keep viewers emotionally invested and returning for updates. And this tension highlights the complex ecosystem of commentary channels, especially those centered around long-running reality franchises like Sister Wives, where personalities are familiar, narratives feel personal, and audiences develop strong attachments to perceived truths. And over time, viewers begin to believe they understand the full picture, yet they also suspect there are hidden layers never shown on camera. And when someone suggests insiders are ready to speak, those suspicions ignite instantly, because it reinforces the belief that the televised version may only represent a fraction of reality. And that belief is powerful because it fuels loyalty to creators who position themselves as truth seekers rather than entertainers. And yet, the line between those roles can blur quickly, because even when a creator intends to protect sources, the act of teasing confidential information can function as a promotional hook, whether intentional or not. And that is where criticism intensifies, because some argue that if the goal was truly to avoid exploitation, the information should have remained private altogether, while others counter that transparency about being contacted builds trust with the audience by acknowledging behind-the-scenes dynamics without crossing into unverified claims. And this ongoing push and pull reveals something deeper about digital media culture, which is that audiences crave authenticity, but also drama. They want integrity, but also revelation. And balancing those expectations is nearly impossible, especially when legal considerations hover in the background. Because despite common belief, adding allegedly does not create immunity, and repeating specific accusations about real individuals can carry consequences, particularly if those claims cannot be substantiated. And creators, aware of that risk, may choose caution over immediacy, even at the cost of frustrating viewers. And frustration has certainly been visible across comment sections, where debates escalate over whether fear of lawsuits, influence from network connections, or simple strategy explains the silence. And while there is no confirmed evidence of legal threats or network pressure, the mere possibility shapes perception. Because in communities built around speculation, perception often becomes narrative, and narrative spreads faster than verification. And as more fans analyze the pattern of who interviews whom within the Sister Wives commentary sphere, questions about access and alliances continue to surface, with some suggesting that recurring collaborations hint at established relationships, while others dismiss such claims as coincidence within a niche audience. And regardless of which interpretation proves accurate, the impact remains the same, which is heightened curiosity and sustained attention. And perhaps that is why the suspense has not diminished, but intensified, because when information is partially acknowledged yet withheld, it occupies mental space, prompting viewers to revisit older episodes, re-examine past conflicts, and reconsider character arcs through a new lens, wondering if previously overlooked moments now carry different meaning. And that psychological loop keeps engagement high because unresolved questions are more compelling than settled answers. And in this case, the unanswered question centers on whether individuals from Robin's past will eventually step forward publicly. And if they do, how their accounts will be presented, whether through interviews on established platforms, independent channels, or mainstream publications. And that possibility alone keeps the community alert, scanning for updates, anticipating announcements, and speculating about timelines and motives. And yet, amid this swirl of anticipation, it is essential to remember that public curiosity does not equate to entitlement, because reality television participants share portions of their lives, but not every private chapter is obligated to become public record. And while audiences may feel invested after years of viewing, investment does not override consent, accuracy, or fairness. And that principle is central to maintaining monetization and platform compliance, because YouTube policies prioritize responsible commentary, discouraging harmful or defamatory narratives, and encouraging creators to focus on analysis rather than accusation. And within that framework, the decision to refrain from repeating unverified claims aligns with sustainability, even if it conflicts with immediate audience demand. And sustainability matters because channels that rely on consistent engagement must protect long-term credibility over short-term spikes. And credibility once lost is difficult to restore, especially in communities where trust influences subscriber loyalty. And so perhaps the silence reflects a strategic patience, waiting for direct voices rather than second-hand retellings, allowing those who feel compelled to share to do so on their own terms, and in doing that, shifting responsibility from commentator to primary source, which reduces risk and preserves neutrality. And neutrality in emotionally charged fandom spaces is rare but valuable, because once a creator is perceived as biased, vindictive, or reckless, audience fragmentation follows. And fragmentation weakens influence, and influence in digital ecosystems determines visibility and revenue and relevance. And thus, every decision, even the decision to remain silent, carries weight and shapes trajectory. And as days pass without further disclosure, the suspense evolves into a test of endurance. Will curiosity fade, or will pressure mount? And historically, in reality television cycles, pressure tends to mount because audiences rarely forget hinted revelations. They archive them, revisit them, reference them months later. And so even if no immediate development occurs, the seed has been planted. And that seed may resurface unexpectedly, perhaps during a reunion season, perhaps through independent testimony, perhaps not at all. And that unpredictability sustains intrigue, because unpredictability mirrors the very nature of the show itself, where alliances shift abruptly, narratives pivot dramatically, and long-held assumptions collapse under new information. And in that sense, the off-screen suspense now mirrors the on-screen drama, creating a parallel storyline driven not by episodes, but by commentary and speculation. And whether this parallel storyline culminates in confirmation, clarification, or quiet dissolution, it has already demonstrated the power of suggestion in digital communities. Because sometimes the strongest reaction emerges not from evidence, but from the promise of it. And in the end, viewers must navigate their own balance between curiosity and critical thinking, recognizing that without verifiable details, assumptions remain hypothetical, and that responsible engagement requires patience, discernment, and awareness of the human beings behind the headlines. And until concrete information is presented directly by those involved, the narrative remains suspended, sustained by anticipation, but grounded in uncertainty. And perhaps that is where it will remain for now, a mystery hovering at the edge of revelation, reminding everyone that in the realm of online commentary, the space between what is known and what is suggested can be the most captivating space of all. At the end of the day, the biggest shock is not even what was allegedly said, but what is still being kept behind closed doors. Because sometimes the silence speaks louder than the tea itself. And whether this mystery eventually unfolds or stays sealed, one thing is clear: the conversation is far from over. So drop your thoughts below. Let's talk about it. And if you want bold, unfiltered breakdowns like this every single week, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now and join the family, because you do not want to miss what comes next.